Okay, so today it's our 16th ArchaeoScience seminar, and we are pleased to announce that our guest speaker for this seminar is Dr. Rog Palmer from Air Photo Services from Cambridge in Great Britain. Rog Palmer began working with aerial photographs for the Royal Commission of Historical Monuments of England in 1968 and is doing that until now. After his after he started working with this, he followed the undergraduate and postgraduate study at Cambridge University, and in 1990 he established a freelance company, Air Photo Services, that deals with archaeology, with aerial archaeology from aerial photographs and so on. His publications include a survey of the area of the Hillfort of Danbury. He made a chapter that was translated into Romania a few years ago about his work on the Romanian territory. And today he will give us a presentation entitled Uses of Aerial Images in Developer-Led Archaeology, something that's not quite usually encounter in Romania, and in our opinion, we think that this kind of work in Romanian archaeology, it could help benefit our work, and not only our work, but the work of authorities to make the bigger impact on the development of our infrastructure as a country. This lecture will explore an exciting topic about the use of aerial images in archaeological investigation and what information it can provide for a better research. So, Dr. Rog Palmer, you have the word now, and you can share your screen. After that, after the communications, and we will have a Q&A session to see what questions we can address and what answers we can receive from Dr. Rog Palmer. So you have the word now, please.
Okay, thank you. You've got the screen. Have you my screen?
Not right now. You should start sharing it.
Oh dear, I thought I was.
Nope.
So what do I do again?
In the right, down right, you have the present now button, and you should use it to show the entire screen. Or
have you got
now
that?
yes, and you should make the PowerPoint on the full screen with F5 because it's not on the full screen.
Oh, it is here.
What did you do to share the screen?
Let's go back and...
We don't have the PowerPoint in a big picture on the entire screen.
Oh, that's okay. Let's go back to that. That's you and that lot, isn't it?
No.
Oh, it says I am presenting.
Yes, you are presenting, but you want the PowerPoint to be on the full screen. The presentation. Press F5.
Oh yeah, I've done that. That's F5. That should be the whole thing.
No, I don't think it is. You presented the entire screen or just a window of your screen?
No, it was the entire screen. Let's go back.
Okay, that's a bit tricky.
Oh, hold on. What's... entire screen again. Select window or screen. There we are. PowerPoint. Allow. That should be the basic PowerPoint. And
Yes.
that's F5.
Yes, on the PowerPoint.
You've got the whole screen now.
No, but I think we can manage to work this way with it. If we are gonna see it, it's good enough, I think, if you can make it on the full screen. So
Well, it's full screen here. I can't make it any bigger.
If I may,
then
the view is good
okay.
enough as it is right now. We can understand it's big enough. So
Okay.
it's okay.
Okay.
Right. I'll get on with it before it's tomorrow, shall I?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thanks for inviting me. I'd like to add one thing to your comments about commercial archaeology and the difference here and Romania. And one of the things that when I was putting this talk together that I realized was that commercial archaeology in Britain employs about 5,000 people now. So there's an enormous number of archaeologists, a lot on digging, a lot on post-excavation, that's been built up in the last 30 years, really. I want to begin and end the talk with an advert, and the advert is that flying is fun. Why do things if you don't enjoy them? And when we're going around photographing the archaeological stuff, it really is a cost-effective way of looking at the landscape or a large area. Aerial survey will look at large areas. This is near enough a 1 hour flight in which I recorded 61 archaeological locations. This was the last flight I did before lockdown and so on. So we fly around, we record our archaeological sites. The ones that appear in crop, like these two, are visible for about 1 month a year, if we're lucky, between the middle of June and the middle of July in this country. It's slightly earlier in Romania. And at the same time, we can record non-archaeological things which may confuse people. I call these geological hill forts, partly because when they were first found in the 1930s, they were published in Proceedings of the Prehistoric Society #2, I think, as hill forts by Crawford, in fact. We can also record natural erosion of sites, the landslip here, breaking up terraces. One of the things that I like about flying in Romania is that it lets me record things which make me think about the archaeological record. These will have been this herding sheep will have been happening for the last 5,000 years. Structures like this are not usually found in the archaeological record. This is the stuff we're missing.
Sorry to interrupt you, but at what slide are you? Because I think they are not moving.
Oh dear.
If you are changing slides.
I have been changing slides, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they weren't moving, so.
Do you want to try this another day?
No.
Well, I don't know your system.
Yeah, this is the first time when we have this kind of problems.
I'm good at problems.
So you should start from where you were, from where I stopped you, and see if the slides are gonna change.
Okay, if I put that and put that on F5. you should have a slide with two different pictures, a black and white picture and a color picture.
Yes, we have it.
And if I change it, has it changed?
No, it didn't.
I think you can try full screen. Down right on the percentage thing with the zoom on the right, there's an icon, some kind of a television.
That.
Rog, are you actually have you done present slides? Is it actually playing?
I don't know what it's doing.
Wasn't it the same problem last week? Maybe you should disconnect and connect
so.
again.
Well, I've done that once already.
It didn't work.
Now it's changed the slide.
Yeah.
I've changed back to the PowerPoint view with the slides down the side.
I think it's good enough like this.
That's what we can see, Rog.
So if I do it like this,
it's the same thing, because when you went full screen, we saw the same image with the slides like right now.
Yeah.
But if you see that, is that changing now?
Yeah, it's changing. It's changing. Yeah,
it's changing.
So what do you want me to do?
Continue from where you
I'll continue.
left.
Okay, yeah, this is.
I think it's good enough.
Can I make that any bigger?
I don't think so.
No.
You should leave it like this.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Don't. If it's not broken, don't fix it or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. This is just about some of the non-archaeological things that can be recorded while we're flying, and this is what I was told: record things that won't be there tomorrow. And this is one of the good uses for aerial photographs. You can compare change and see things that have vanished. You can see the destruction that's going on. This somewhere in this quarry there, if you can see the cursor, there's a little ring ditch that's been excavated and another, most of one. So we can see the destruction. This lot's all houses now. There's a lot of that going on local to me. And we're seeing these, the sites in as crops, the crop marks, as people call them, because for the last 5,000 years, people have been digging holes in the ground. These are both Neolithic sites. This one is in Dorset, southern England. This was a Neolithic causewayed enclosure. This was a henge monument on Orkney. The ditch is about 4 meters wide there. This is the reason we see them. If people didn't dig holes in the ground, there'd be nothing for us to see. We can see it when the topsoil is taken off, like here. This is a quarry, or will be a quarry. The topsoil has been taken off. The archaeologists have started to dig into the black lines, which are the ditches and pits. We get them on roads. There's a large, let's call it a D-shaped enclosure there, which is being excavated, or was excavated. And this is why we see them. The cereal crop, this is two different crops at the top. This one is ripening, that one is ripe. And you can see the green difference in growth there. Those are still green, and you might be able to see that they're sticking up slightly as well. They're taller crop, whereas with the foundation of a building, the crop doesn't grow as strongly and it ripens earlier, so you get shorter crop. Starting at the bottom on the left, this is what was there. Nice house, somebody cleaning the ditch out, pits and so on, which gradually fell apart and eroded and was left in earthwork form like this until we got tractors which were powerful enough to level the ground. And this is what we've got nowadays. Holes in the ground with the crop growing differently on top of them. Oh, now what you're not getting like this is the animations, because this came up later, but never mind, I can talk around that. This is just to show that it happens in real life. This is a ditch with the crop growing taller over the top of it. So if you like, that's a section through a crop mark. And they happen in Romania. I can move these, can't I? Okay, that's one that I photographed near Gumulnitsa. And there's another one. So you do get these things. One photo of an archaeological site is going to give you lots of other information as well. These words tend to blend together. Location, topography tend to be similar. Context is part of the location and the topography. And you can get a sense of scale from other information on the photographs. It's one of Carmen's photographs. I can't remember the name, or can't pronounce the name, of a tell, and you can see from this that the land is sloping down towards the tell and then up again, and that the tell is on a very flat area of land. You can see the river's been wandering about. You can see other wet patches scattered around. So this is giving you the context of the site. Similarly with this one, the lowest part on the photograph is this wiggly line, which you can see is a watercourse, a little stream. And you can see that because you've got the deeper soil, the alluvium spreading out from it. And you've got these little springs and streams running down to it. So the higher ground is coming towards the front of the photograph. And you've got on that there's one over there somewhere, this is where the people lived, up on the high ground close to the water supply. So that gives you the location, the context of the site, to get a sense of the scale. These things that we call tram lines, the roads that the tractor goes up and down on, in this part of the world are 22 to 25 meters apart at the moment. This is the arms for the spray that the tractors have. So you've got the sense of scale on there. This is going into micro topography here, but you've got one field and the crop's in 3 different stages. Here it's still ripening. Over here it's more ripe, and this light patch is very ripe. The light patch to me indicates that you've got a different soil here, and that maybe that soil is a later deposit making a tiny island. Island is a Fenland word that means really anything that's over 20 centimeters high. I live in a very flat part of the world. This is showing the topography. You can see how the tram line goes away from the straight line that I've drawn on. This in fact was 2 different slides. But this is showing the shape of the ground. Another instance of context and topography. The lighter ground is the higher ground. Over here in the top right is the modern river. This dark line here indicates the former river. This is deeper soil. That's the watercourse. And I know that the white area here is 2 meters above the dark area. So we drop down there. Ideal place for a site, overlooking water, flowing water. So you've got fresh water on one side, you've got a toilet on the other side, if you're civilized. Okay, we're losing the sequence of animation that I'm using, but this is really to show that in this country we're lucky to have a collection of photographs, or two collections. Historic England started their collection of photographs in 1965. This is who I worked for when they were the Royal Commission in 1968. And the map on the left shows 1 kilometre, 1 kilometre grid, which has got an archaeological site photographed from the air in it. This is their collection of photographs. They've also got vertical photographs that cover the whole of the country from 1946 and a few earlier ones. So we're lucky to have this library. There's another one at Cambridge, which is currently closed. I can go there to look at photographs, or I could before COVID. And Kathy works there. She looked at about 35,000 photographs. This is big data before the word was invented, to map 1,300 square kilometres of the wolds. These boxes hold about 100 photographs each. And this is some of her mapping. The red is her work over an Ordnance Survey map. And you can see, if you can see the cursor as well, the roads or the tracks with a village-like things along them. These are Iron Age Romano-British, so it's about 0 BC plus or minus 400 or 500. There's a burial area there, and there are also large areas defined by these tracks which have nothing in them, which were probably for keeping stock and so on. There's a lot of stock activities that she mapped, where you have funnel entrances to get the stock to go where you want it to, of which there are no examples on this map because I looked for them the other day. Why map? We map for a number of reasons. One is because the information that shows in the crop does not show every year. This is an area that I'm working in at the moment, north of Cambridge. It's got my photographs in 2017, which are the pink ones. The green ones were 2018, and Google Earth has just added a layer from 2000, May 2000, which is good. There are very few overlaps in those two sites. You've got the blue and the pink, one field showing in 2 years, that one was showing in 2 years, that one was showing in 2 years, but all the rest are single years. So you need to build up the information by collecting photographs, and then you need to interpret the photographs to join that information back together again. This is one reason why this is a photograph that I took a few years ago. You can see the ring ditch. Obviously, you can see these straight, well, not straight, linear ditches. At the time I took this, there was nothing showing in the green fields. There was nothing showing on the left, and there is stuff further back which I would have photographed if I'd noticed it on another photograph. On the right is a photograph that was taken earlier. You've got the ring ditch, you've got the straight ditches, but on this year there was something showing in that field that I wasn't able to record, and there is, if you can see the small detail, this line of pits, and there are more pits somewhere or other that I can't see at the moment. But even if you know where this is, you can't see it, or I can't see it on this picture on that date. So this is another reason you need to build up your collections of photographs, because different years of the same site are likely to give you different information. This is the way that we used to do things before computers. These two photographs are a stereo pair, which means I can see them in 3 dimensions using a stereoscope, this thing. I'm left-handed, so I used to put a plastic sheet over the left-hand photograph and draw my interpretation color-coded on that. It's still a good way of teaching, and it forces you to decide what you're seeing. This is an enlargement of that left photograph with the sheet over it. So red are ditches, green a bank, forget the rest. But this was my interpretation of that photograph on that date. And it gives you something to discuss with others. This is the way we do it now. On the right is mapping that I've done, let's say yesterday. On the left is a transform photograph to match the map. And this is what I will be interpreting next. So you build up your map by adding photographs underneath, you interpret them, and then you discard the photographs. There's a couple of case studies now. This is an area, the white areas here have been or are currently being extracted for gravel. The gravel is deeper at the north than the south. So they did the rich areas and they're working down. And I've done mapping for some of this white area and the red area, which is what we're going to look at in a little bit more detail. There's a scale there. So these are, I don't know if these are big quarries or small ones, but they're quarries. I mapped this in 2007. Very briefly, the yellow here are Paleo Channels, deeper soil. Geoarchaeology in these told us that they were active watercourses in the Neolithic and Bronze Age, which adds interest to the red, which is the stuff that I mapped, because all of these ring ditches, which are Bronze Age usually, are within about 200 meters of the water. This little semicircle of pits, and it is a semicircle, the other side, or the other side's never been seen, is on an island, a small island, and then you've got this massive stuff at the top of the drawing, which looks as if it may have been connected by a track, is going to be Iron Age Romano-British, and by that time the watercourses had silted up, the trackways are running over them there. So this is flat ground by then. This is built up, what did I do? 485 photographs taken over 50 years, near enough. Now I did that in 2007, and at the time I did it, the gravel company were wondering whether it was worth the cost of paying for the archaeology, because the gravel was fairly shallow here. 10 years later, I just happened to be flying over it and noticed an excavation. This is about 120 meters long. It looks fairly big, but when you put it in context of the whole area, it's pretty small. You've got a lifetime's digging there, I should think. I don't know whether they deliberately picked a bit with nothing in it, but I do know from excavations that were done on the bottom of the screen or off the bottom of the screen a few years ago that there are more Neolithic pits in this area than in most of the rest of Britain. So it was a a desirable place to live in the past. But this really, it shows the small scale of the excavation at the moment, and just makes me wonder what they're going to do with the rest of the area. And another case study is just to the northwest of Cambridge, where they decided to build a new town. They like doing this. There are two villages at the moment, Oakington and Longstanton, and this curving part there was a railway until we decided to get rid of railways, and it's now where buses run. But it's a curving feature that will let you locate some of the following pictures. This is just a general view of the same thing. There's the curving railway. This is the English summer, grey and murky. And this is the area which is going to be built on. They're obviously starting to put the roads in there. This is an excavation which we'll come back to later. And this is an area that I mapped, what's that, 20 years ago almost, when I was young. Photographs from 1940 to 1996. And I didn't find all that much. The green here is medieval bridge and furrow and headlands. The yellow is deeper soil. The magenta stuff is military. There's the airfield there. And there are tiny bits of red. There's bits of red there, there's bits of red there, which are my archaeological ditches. And the original map was bigger than we're seeing it, obviously. But not much from the aerial photographs. On the basis of the photographs and some geophysical work, Cambridge Archaeological Unit planned their investigation of this, broke it down into site numbers, and we're going to have a look at this area next. No, we're not. We're going to have a look at the whole thing. 1940s, Luftwaffe, who did a flight over the eastern England that was routed to cover up as many airfields as they could. This is one of them. I could spend an hour talking about this photo because it's so interesting. They're obviously constructing the airfield because the military wouldn't drive around in this random fashion. The perimeter track is laid out. If you magnify this, you can see aircraft. There's aircraft. There's a couple down there, and I think that's too big for an aircraft. So they're flying from this airfield. So you can scratch your head and say, how can they fly if it's covered in hedges? That's the question I will leave you with. Later in the war, they were flying heavy bombers from this, and they had to put concrete runways, because the heavy bombers were sinking in the grass. You can see that they finished the barrack and admin areas there. The hangars are in place. This is the munitions. These are the things that go bang, that they keep away from where the people live. They're fairly standard A form of airfield, 3 runways forming a letter A. That was the signature of British airfields in the war. It went out of use after the war, as so many did. It was turned into a park there. There's a golf course up there. An arable land all around it, as it were. You can see the difference in the size of the villages. I'll go back to that previous photograph now, but if you just look at the 2 villages, they've grown enormously since the war. These are the posh bits of Cambridge, people who can afford to move out and live in the villages, or they were. This is the remains of the the airfield. They've started to demolish the barracks. That's a heap of rubble. They've knocked down one of the hangars. And we're going to move into this bit next, which is where CAU started excavating. They've dug this bit. They're extending out to the right of the photograph. This is an Iron Age Romano-British settlement and crossroads here. This runs up to there. There's crossroads there, and that track continues. One of the nice things to come up in this was that at the crossroads there was a blacksmith. There's a little blacksmith building, so it's sensible, I suppose. At the crossroads, you take your horse to be re-shod, you take your cart, and so on. But nice part of prehistoric past there. It looks big. This went on for about 6 months, I think, that excavation. I've got photos of it over 2017. And it's in there. We were looking. There was another excavation of just a smaller site up there. I don't know what's happened in there, but that was the earlier stage of construction. There they are on a modern photo. This is the latest Google Earth one, which is a year ago now. So they're building there. They've built over that one. This is obviously being constructed. But if you remember, and we're in 2021 now, I did my work in 2002. So there's been a long build-up to this, which meant that the archaeologists could get in and do their work without slowing down the building process. This is one of the things that is quite organised over here now. It was the same with the quarry. The archaeologists begin way before the quarry people go in. I'd like to put the excavations in context. And these are just my photographs. I say my because there will be other photographs taken by English Heritage and by the Cambridge unit when they were functioning. But it just shows, two fairly complex sites. That was an enclosure with other things. This is the crossroads. Were functioning at the same time as most of these, and these are just dots, but they indicate sites of all types, from a simple enclosure to these big complex things again. I know that is one of the most complex things that I've photographed. But this is your, if you like, prehistoric, late prehistoric and Roman landscape. It was busy. There were a lot of people living there. Now, this is the problem I throw at you now. Can what we do here be transferred into your country? The first important thing is that you need to believe that these indicate archaeological features. Now, I know from colleagues in Poland that a lot of Polish archaeologists don't believe these. They need to see pottery. They have in Poland AZP project, which is field walking the whole of Poland, and they reckon once they field walked it, they'll know that they know everything. Any of you that do field walking will know that that's a load of rubbish, because if you go on a field 2 different years, you find 2 different things. Or you certainly do over here anyway. But to go back to my stuff, this is just the crop growing taller over ditches. This next picture, conveniently, has had the topsoil stripped off so we can see the ditches, sitting waiting for the archaeological attention. I think they've started digging down there. But this is, yeah, that if you like, puts fact to that. This is what you need to start by believing. We're lucky in this country because as soon as these things started being photographed back in the 1920s, Crawford instigated a series of excavations on a lot of them. So we've been brought up, with this belief that we know that pretty things on photographs are going to be holes in the ground. As I've said before, you've had them in Romania. It's one of Carmen's pictures of an enclosure. If you take the topsoil off and dig this, you will find ditches. This is near Constanta. And under here, there will be ditches. So you need the belief. You also need to collect the photographs together. This is Historic England's collection, or part of it. What they call the red boxes with their photographs in them. They've got this library which you can visit. You could visit before COVID, and they've got big tables for you to work on. They've got lots of windows. It's quite a good space to work. They won't let you borrow photographs, so you need to work there. And if you think photographs have been taken since, well, let's say for the last 100 years, digital photographs have been taken for the last 20 years, if you're lucky. Most of the photographs exist in, let's call them analog form, as prints. So you're going to have to get used to them. There's more to life than Google Earth. This is lots and lots of pictures showing how we teach this stuff. We teach you to look through stereoscopes. We teach you to interpret photographs. We take you flying. You'll have to believe that. We've been running courses doing that since 1996. We haven't run any for the last 5 years because we ran out of money. We ran one in Bushtini 2005. It's not how we do it now. And you had a small, dark, crowded room, which was not good. And from memory, and from talking to Carmen over the weekend, we did about 2 days about aerial photographs, and there were 3 days about using computers. So not a great deal about the aerial side, but we try and teach you. And this is the almost the last of them. This is what I call the Jesus field. Google Earth pilgrimages went there. The point of this really is to say don't believe your first impressions, because if you think about this, you'll know that they're Paleo Channels. The closing advert, which is that workshops are fun as well, and you meet people doing similar things to you with similar interests. There is a network of people over Europe now that have come together because of the workshops and because of the interest in aerial work. And that's the end. If I stop, well, it is stopped, isn't it? Back to you now, if you're still there. The questions? Anybody there?
Thank you, Rog. So now questions, anybody?
No, they're all gone.
Yeah, apparently. Anyone, any questions? Okay, then I'm gonna start. You said that we need to make photos to understand the site for a longer period of time, but it actually is not really a question. We need to take for a longer period of time photos, but in different seasons, right? because depending on the climate that you are in, the photos and the results of the photos may vary because of the seasons and because of the soil and the crops, right? Am I wrong?
Approximately right. Yes. Yes, you see things in different seasons, but I've forgotten the word. Yeah, the season for the crop mark photography, the indications of crop, which you will need if you've got flattened archaeology, is about 1 month a year, roughly. You may see things at other times, but it depends so much on certain crops, and they're generally cereal crops, wheat and barley. It's a stage of their ripening. When I've flown in Romania, it's been early in June that we've been seeing these, and I think it was the same with Joanna Otian's work further northwest, her Dacian stuff. That she had a short flying season. You can see other sites in bare soil, but this is a whole other process. But yeah, if you can fly all year round, you might see different stuff. You could start by looking at the photos that already exist, because I know that there are vertical photographs of Romania from the 1980s at least.
Yeah. Okay. Next questions. Greg, yeah, I see that you raise your hand. Go ahead.
Thanks. Hi, Rog. Yeah, really interesting presentation. I want to ask, how much has drone technology changed or increased the amount of data coming in? Presumably a lot.
It's different. You notice that I didn't mention drones. The difference, as I see it, is that aerial survey, in my terms, either taking oblique photos, as I've done, or with vertical surveys, covers large areas. Drones photographs what you already know. I think I've never heard of anybody going to an unknown field with a drone and saying, "Let's see if we can find a site." I'm happy to be wrong.
Yeah, I agree. I've only used drones on known sites. Yeah, so yeah. But potentially it does open up an easier access to taking photographs from the air rather than getting in a plane or use other data sets.
Yes, it's easy. It's easy and cheap. You can drive around. You can do these things. I found a few days ago the best example that I'm aware of use of drones by a bloke in Wales. I can't find the address now, of course, but who's actually he's taken big sites and he's done historical research on them as well, and he's made up a story. Okay, you can't do historical work on the prehistoric stuff, but yeah, drones are useful, but they haven't yet come into. I haven't used any of the results from drone surveys. You present your results in ways usually that we can't use, I suppose.
All right. Thanks, Rog.
Anybody else? Okay, Greg, do you have another question?
No, sorry, I was just lowering my hand and I pressed it twice.
Okay. Well, I kind of have an answer for Greg. I work with drones and so on. Yeah, the technology evolved quite a lot for drones to use, but as Rog said, you need to know where do you want to make your survey with a drone, because the time you have with a drone in the air is not that big. I mean, you have top, you with a big drone with a fixed wing, you have a top, maybe 1 hour of flight, so you need to know exactly where you want to do your flight, how you want to, and what do you want to obtain, what results do you want to have with that kind of drone. Because on drones, as we know right now, we can equip them with different kinds of sensors, from multispectral camera to LiDAR and so on. But that depends on what you want to have at the end of the day, and you need to know what kind of site is in that region. Because if you have, I don't know, a flat settlement, you need to make photos in a different way. If you have a tall settlement or mounds or so on, you need another type of uh, how do you say it, another type of photograph, I mean, or either oblique, either vertical photos. Yeah, you can see in both of them, you can see flat settlements and mounds and so on, but depends of the resolution, of the altitude from which you flew the drone, and of the quality of the image. I think I managed to answer your question a bit. I don't know. I hope so.
Yeah, that's been helpful. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I have another questions, or not really a question. I saw the how you managed to uh, make your map on already historical photographs, but the question is this: you, how many historic photographs you used for I don't know, an area that you didn't know that there was a site, uh, to make the map, and how, and you managed to uh, corroborate those informations from historical photographs with other techniques of non-intrusive archaeology, like georadar or so on.
The first thing that we do with any site, this can be from one field to a big area, is make a list of the available photographs. So, for instance, okay, this is the pre-COVID days. I would go to the library at Cambridge with my area. I would make a list of the photographs that cover that area, and at the same time, I would email an inquiry to English Heritage with the coordinates on, or a coordinate box, and say, send me a list of the photographs you've got in this area. And then I would chase the sites that I knew that were on the internet that would inform me. So, and basically in those terms, Google Earth and Bing, which are not always the same images, and any other libraries that I knew might be useful. There's one that the Cambridge County Council have, a record library with photographs in it that don't exist anywhere else. So you need to know where to look for the photographs. But in the answer to your question, how many photographs? As many as I can lay my hands on, really, because there's always going to be one photograph that shows you something that no other photograph shows. That, for example, that Luftwaffe photograph, 1940, has one field in it that that was showing archaeological information that was never seen before or since. So, you know, if Hitler wasn't a bit pissed off with the Brits, we wouldn't know about that just one field. So it's building up information. This is why the libraries, the collections are so important. And knowing where to look. I know things have changed a little bit. He's gone now, but Adam, who was there before, works at Air Photo Services with Chris Cox, and they've since lockdown, they've been investigating satellite sources and other sources of information that can be used, because high resolution satellites are really good now. Yeah, if I was doing a new area, given that I'm retired and not doing anything now, if I was working on a new area that didn't have much photographic cover, I would first thing I'd do is investigate the satellite cover. Again, you need to know what date range you need to look at, because if the only satellite cover was taken, I'm talking about, well, Cambridge or Romania, and we're looking for leveled sites in October, don't bother. If the satellites were flown in June, July, then it's worth looking. So, number of sources, all of them. We can never have enough photographs. The one thing that you'll hear all the photo interpreters say is, are there any more photographs? Because the more photos you look at, the more questions come up, really. The end.
Thank you. Any other questions, please? If there are no more questions, then I think we can stop the meeting. Thank you very much, Rog, for your lecture. It was great, and hope to see you again in another conference. I don't know.
Yes, I'm sure there'll be an ARG one day before I drop.
Yeah.
Not this year, but we still hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, and have a great day, everybody.
Yeah, sorry the technology let us down.
No problem.
I need to talk to you about that, don't I suppose?
Yeah. Okay. So
Thanks,
okay,
Roger.
no, thanks everybody. There's even people that I haven't seen for years that I recognize the names of. Good to see some old friends.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.